me bring it into. Alright, so what I'm doing a project, and it's called "The Bantus Are the Real Jews of the Bible." And I gave y'all all a question. It's a questionnaire, and they got biblical answers on here. Now, the first question I would like to go over with y'all. I'm only gonna do two questions. Question number 1 and question number 8. Okay, so with question number 1, this is, I'm gonna read it. Did you know that God's real name is Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya, which is I am that I am in ancient Hebrew? That's his name, Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya, which is I am that I am, and this will be his name forever. And we're gonna read it. We're gonna read it out of Exodus. We're gonna go to Exodus chapter 3, verse 14 through 15. And I know y'all have like the y'all use like the Good News Bible out here and everything like that. We use the KJV. We use other different Bibles too, but the KJV is kind of the main one we use because that was the last real authorized Bible. So Exodus chapter 3. You can start at verse 13. Read 13 to 15 for me.
Exodus chapter 3, verse 13. And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say unto me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? Verse 14. And God said unto Moses, I am that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you.
Okay, so this is Moses talking to God. God talking to Moses before the children of Israel left Egypt. Okay, before the children of Israel left Egypt, God gave Moses his name. He said, This is my name. I am that I am. He asked him, he said, What's your name? What should I tell the children of Israel? Read that part what he said. What should I tell the children of Israel? And then when they sit.
Verse 13. Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say unto me, What is his name?
Mm-hmm. So he said, so Moses was like, when I go to the children of Israel, they're gonna ask me, what's your name? What your name is? What's your name? And he was like, you know what God said? Tell him this. Read verse 14.
And God said unto Moses, I am that I am.
I am that I am. That's God's true name. And me and brother David, we out here to bring forth the gospel, you know, and help and all that too, because that's what our calling is to do. So God gave Moses his true name, and God will reveal his true name again on the earth in these last days that we living in. And he's revealed his name again. And his name is I am that I am, the great I am. That's his name. There's no other name higher than that. There's no other name. God only got one name. Satan the one that got many names. You know. But this is the name he gave Moses. Point blank clear. Read verse 15.
Verse 15. And God said moreover unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, excuse me, and the God of Jacob hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever.
Mm-hmm. So that's his name forever. Mm-hmm.
And this is my memorial unto all generations.
So this is a memorial to all generations. So once we find out God's true name, we gotta keep putting it out there because it's shaking the earth. It's shaking the earth. The powers that control the world, they don't like us calling on God's true name. You can.
I can do one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to add one thing. So Christ also said this name. Okay, go to John 8. Really fast, okay? Because you have to always make sure you use the Old Testament and the New Testament to understand the whole Bible fully. So we're okay, John 8, you can start at 57.
So when
John 8.
yeah, we in St. John, the Gospel of John, chapter 8, and we're gonna start at verse 57. So we in St. John, the Gospel of John, chapter 8, starting at verse 57. Then said the Jews unto him, Thou art not yet 50 years old, and how hast thou seen Abraham?
Okay, so Christ said a verse or two before that Abraham was happy to see my day. Now the Jews are asking him, how is it that you saw Abraham when Abraham was from a long time ago and you're not even 50 years old? How are you speaking about Abraham right now? This is what they're asking. Go ahead.
Verse 58. And Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am.
Was who?
I am.
Was who?
I am.
Was I am. What happened next? Go ahead.
Verse 59. Then they took up stones to cast at him. But Jesus, or Yeshua, hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by.
So when he said that name, they picked up stones to stone him and kill him for saying that name. You see that, right? Say it again.
Mm-hmm. And Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham
existed,
was I am.
God was already here. I am was already here before Abraham. Because if you read up a little bit more, they were having so much respect, they were pretending to have so much respect for Abraham. So Christ is saying, if you respect Abraham so much, then you should respect the creator of Abraham, because he was here before Abraham. And they didn't like that, because that name is very powerful. Very powerful. Go ahead.
Verse 59. Then they took up stones.
They took up stones
to cast at him,
to throw at him.
But Yeshua hid himself.
But Christ had to hide himself. Go ahead.
And went out of the temple.
So he was in the temple when they picked up stones to kill him. And he had to hide in the temple and then hurry up and get out. Go ahead.
Going through the midst of them.
Going among the people. Right? Go ahead.
And so passed by.
And then he just passed right by them. He just got out. Because he said that name. And the leaders, right? We all know that Christ never had a problem with the people. He never had a problem with the people. It was the leaders, the Pharisees, Sadducees, scribes, the priests, the chief priests, the higher up elected officials that had an agreement with the Roman government. Those are the ones who had a problem with Christ, because they knew that what Christ is bringing is truth. And the truth is what the regular people need to hear. And now they are empowered. They don't need the government. If they know what Christ was teaching, that's why the government hunted whoever taught Christ. Not whoever taught Moses, whoever taught Christ. Because Moses' law is what the foundation of Christ is, yes. But there's many things that you don't really understand if you only have the laws of Moses. You also need Christ to explain the laws of Moses. You have to see how Christ lived the law of Moses. So there are, for example, Mary Magdalene. We all know she should have been killed according to God's law, which is the law of Moses, but that's really God's law. So Christ did not say she does not deserve to be killed. He didn't say that. For her crime, she deserves to die. But he told her, just don't do this anymore, and you're okay. So that's what Christ brought. That you don't have to kill them, give them a chance to learn and change, and then you can have a new soul for God's kingdom. But the Pharisees were not about that. The Pharisees were all about, no, we cannot have all these people believing this, because even the Pharisees said all men will believe on him. If you don't stop him, all men will believe, because he's speaking the truth. And the truth is that the Most High sent his son to die for all of us, so we can actually have power. They make you think it's all about just believing. It's about power. He gives you power on the earth. You cannot rule or do anything without power. Right? So who took our power from us? Our God took our power because we broke the laws. So Christ was the Redeemer to show all of us you still have to keep the laws, but there's still some time left from when Christ was here up until now. According to what Christ was saying, this is the time. This is the time to come together and begin trying to keep the laws and follow Christ. This is it.
We're gonna go to yes. We're gonna alright. So now we talked about question number 1. Alright. So then we're gonna just go into question number 8. Question number 8 on this flyer, and the question is, how do you identify the children of Israel in the world today? And that's a very, very important question. How do you identify the children of Israel in the world today? So and it has biblical answers on here, Genesis 49 and Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right, now we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and we're going to just read 3 curses out of here. We're going to read 3 curses out of here. Deuteronomy 28, we'll start at verse 1 and then read verse 15. And then we're going to read 3 curses. And then we're going to and after that, I'm going to read an excerpt out of that book and another excerpt out of another book, and then we done. I don't think I got that much time. Much time I got on there left?
11:50.
11. All right, cool. So we're gonna go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. We're gonna start at verse 1. Start at verse 1. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. Read verse 1 for me, bro.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
So this when we came out of Egypt. This when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, and the Most High was giving us the laws. He said, look, if you follow my laws, I will bless y'all above all the other nations of the earth. And at a point in time, we was blessed like that. At a point in time, no other nation can come against the children of Israel. During King David time, during King Solomon time, no other nation can come against the children of Israel until we started breaking God's law as a whole, as a nation.
Joshua's time.
Even Joshua time, going into the land of Israel. You know, us being around the wilderness for 40 years, nations couldn't come against us when we was in the wilderness. They tried. But what happened? The Most High dealt with them, you know, and it was an instance where we had the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant would fight for us, you know, while we in the wilderness and things like that. So it's very, very powerful to identify who the children of Israel is. But read verse 15 from me, bro.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So now, if we don't follow his laws, what happened? We will have curses that come upon us and overtake us to the point we won't even know who we are. You know, we won't even know who we are. And I'm going to get into that, who the Bantus is. Because the word Bantu itself just means people. But what people? The people of the book. The people of the Bible. That's who we are. We the people of the book. That's who we is. So I'm going to read 3 curses. All right, go to verse 45. Read verse 45 and 46 from me. So we're going to read 3 curses out of here. And after that, I would like y'all feedback after read these curses and we read 2 other things real quick. I'm trying to run through this. Yeah, read verse 40. Yeah, read verse 45 and 46 from me. Yeah.
Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed.
So we be destroyed as a nation. We don't even know who we is. We don't know our true identity. This Bible, every nation in this world, you can find them in this Bible. You can find them in this Bible. We the children of Israel. That's who we is according to the Bible. Keep going over.
5. Till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Because we didn't listen to his laws. When you read the Bible, you see the children of Israel keep breaking the laws. We keep going into captivity after captivity because we keep breaking the laws. We in captivity now underneath the Roman Empire. The Romans came to Kenya, did what they did, Queen Elizabeth and all that, and they colonized Kenya. They was going against the Mau Mau and all that. They colonized Kenya, to what they is today. Keep going, verse 45.
45. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he command thee. 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign.
Okay.
So
So these curses gonna be upon us for a sign and what?
And for a wonder.
And for a wonder. And so what?
And upon thy seed forever.
Forever. So these curses. So this is how we can identify who the children of Israel is based off these curses. These curses only fit a certain nationality of people. These curses only fit a certain people. All right. Let's go to verse 64.
64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So we'll start dealing with other guys. Hold on, read verse 63 for me.
63. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught.
So that what happened to our people. All right, so he said we would worship wood and stone. The wood, believe it or not, that's idolatry, dealing with Christianity. Now, I'm a Christian, but I don't deal with modern day Christianity, which come from a Roman emperor named Constantine that took Christ's teachings and mixed it in with paganism. All right, and they brought all idolatry into it. The Bible tells us don't deal with idolatry. You go into these modern day churches, they have wooden crosses everywhere. Christ told us to carry our cross, not wear no crosses. We're supposed to carry our cross and put our worries on Him. So go to verse 63, 64, and 65, and then we're gonna go to read verse 65. I'm sorry. Read verse. Let me see. Read verse 64.
Verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So like I said, what the wood is the Christianity cross. And all that idolatry. The stone is a lot of our people dealing with Islam, dealing with Islam, worshiping the Kaaba stone. That's in Mecca. That's idolatry too. Islam and Christianity came against us, and try to enslave us. Christians was already established way before the word Christianity even came into existence.
Yep.
Okay, so and we'll get scattered throughout all of the earth. We'll get scattered. Especially in Africa. This is what you call the Bantu migration. The Bantu migration is a part of the diaspora of the children of Israel. We'll talk about it in a second. Go to read verse 68. And this is what they hate.
I'm gonna add one thing because, as I said before, Old Testament, New Testament. So, James, right, the disciple James, he wrote his letter. See, in the New Testament, you have to understand there's only 4 Gospels. There's 4 Gospels. There's the book of the Acts of the Apostles. After that, the rest are letters. And you have the book of Revelation also. But you have letters. Paul wrote the majority of those letters, along with James, Peter, Jude, and John. Yep, First John. Yep, First, Second, John. So these letters were written by, for example, when you look at 1 Corinthians, the first chapter, the first verse, you will notice it will say Paul's name first. It will say Paul, and then called to be an apostle He said, all this called to be an apostle of Yahshua Christ through the will of God, and Sotenos, our brother, unto the church of God which is at Corinth. So he's writing this unto the church of God that's at Corinth. So the book of Corinthians is a letter from Paul to God's people that live in Corinth. That's all it is. All the letters are structured this way, but the modern day church doesn't explain what those letters are, because it's very important to know why are these men writing letters. And back then there's no email, it's through ships, through horses, through camels, that they have to send these things out very far distance. So he says here, grace be unto you and peace from God our Father, from the Lord Yahshua Christ. So you will notice the first one or two verses in the letters are actually, it's a letterhead, it's a greeting. That's all it is. He's just saying greeting. It's me, Paul, writing this. That's all it is. So James, okay, James's letter, same thing. We go to James 1:1. Okay, James 1:1 says, James, comma, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahshua Christ, to. So now he's writing this to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greeting. You see, even after Christ left, the disciples were writing letters to the 12 tribes of Israel that were scattered abroad. So that scattering began since this time. Before that time, it's always been happening. They've always been scattered into all nations, and they will return. So the final return is with Christ. When he gets back, there's going to be no more scattering of God's people. They're going to be in their land, and that's it. And they're going to also rule the whole earth, the universe forever. That's a part of it too. But the point is that these curses were already happening, and we can see in the New Testament. How come the Christian church doesn't read this? It says the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes of who? Of Israel, not the 12 tribes of Christians. Now, I'm going to one more verse, and then I'll go back to his. Revelation 21. I go to Revelation 21, okay, because Revelation 21 is the new Jerusalem, right? Verse 1.
We got Revelation chapter 21, verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem.
So John, so once again, we have more understanding of who's writing this. This is John, he was the last one. They tried to kill him several times, it didn't work. He actually wrote this on a prison island called Patmos. He wrote this in prison. He was in jail, man. He was an old man, and they sent him there to work and die. So on the Sabbath, which is the seventh day, God revealed this whole revelation to him, which is the whole book of Revelation. So he's also seeing what's going to happen when this whole thing is done, and the new heaven is going to come down. Right? Go ahead.
And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven.
Coming down from God out of heaven. Okay. Have we all seen? Has anyone seen a city coming down from heaven yet? No. No one has seen a city come out of heaven and come onto the earth yet. So this hasn't happened yet. All right, go ahead.
Prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
Okay, jump to verse 11.
Verse 11. Having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal.
Now, I want here, because the first 10 verses is only describing the kingdom of heaven, the streets of pure gold that you can see through all the way to the bottom. The bottom, you have, fiery lava that goes around God's throne. It describes all these things. But I went to the end of that description because there's one detail that even in this book is very important to remember.
Verse 12. And I had a wall great and high.
It had a wall great and high. Go ahead.
And 12 gates.
The 12 gates.
In the gates 12 angels.
12 angels at each gate.
And the names written thereon.
And the names written on the gates.
Which are the name of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
Even the kingdom of heaven that's coming, the new Jerusalem coming from the kingdom of heaven in the future will have the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel on it. That's in the Bible. It's clear. And every single version of the Bible says this, by the way.
How much time we got left? How much time?
We can go back to it.
You can keep going.
Just read verse 68.
68 again. So,
yeah, like 5.
Yeah. So verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. 65. And among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Okay.
You read verse 68.
68.
And this one what they hate. Read verse 68.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Egypt, according to the Bible, just means house of bondage. Go to Exodus 20 real quick. Exodus 20 verse 1 real quick. Exodus 20 verse 1. To show y'all that Egypt means house of bondage according to the Bible. Because that's what the children of Israel did, house of bondage at. Exodus 20 verse 1.
Exodus chapter 20 verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
House of bondage. Now go back to Deuteronomy 28 verse 68. Let's read it again. Verse 68.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Into a house of bondage again. So he would bring us into house of bondage again. Keep going.
With ships.
With ships this time. So this time we'll be going through ships. Keep going.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
We wouldn't even see Israel no more again. We'll think Africa is our homeland, but really we come from Israel. So this is the transatlantic slave trade, and also the East African slave trade dealing with the Arabs. How they took a lot of Bantus and sold them around East Africa, sold them to India, sold them to parts of China and things like that. And it's the transatlantic slave trade where they took a lot of our people from Africa, a lot of Bantus from Africa, and took them to the western side of the world, took them to the North America, took them to South America, took them to Central America, took them to parts of Haiti and parts of over there by the Caribbean areas and things like that. Took our people to the Western world by slave. This is by ships. It's only happened to a certain group of people. It happens to our people. Alright, so
Thou shalt see it no more again.
We wouldn't even see Israel again.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
No man shall save us besides Christ. Okay, that's the only person that's gonna save us is our Lord and Savior. So they took us captivity, sold us on slave ships, went for the fast, sold us on oxen blocks, and sold us to the Americans, sold us to parts of China, sold us to Arabia, sold us to different places around the world. You know, it took us. So I'm gonna read the book of Ham. This is a Bible dictionary. We're gonna read the definition of ham out of the Bible, out of Zondervan Bible Dictionary. The definition of ham. This is the definition of ham. Read what you see, bro.
Okay, Ham. So you guys know who Ham is, right? Noah had 3 sons: Shem, Ham, Japheth. Okay, Ham. Okay, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, probably born about 9